everybody, and I hope you're having a really good day, and thank you for stopping by. I want to talk to you about principles to live by. When I say principles, I mean things that you live your life a certain way, and it really works because you do it. Now, those principles that I use in my life, I've gotten from what I call the good book. Now, I want you to understand something. I have not been perfect all my life, nor do I think I am going to end up being this perfect person in the end. But what I have learned is that when I apply the principles in the good book, good things come my way. They just do. Things turn out good. And so that's why I follow it. Now, a lot of people will say, well, they don't believe in God. That's fine. That's your choice. You have that right. Like I said, I don't like arguing over religion or politics. But I look at the good book as a self-help book. It's got tons of answers for everyday life's problems, if you just look for them. People love self-help books. They really do. But the good book, they don't really care for. And it's full of self-help and guidance for life's everyday problems and troubles. But yet, we tend to fall on the world's view of how things should be and how we're supposed to act and what we're supposed to do and what is important in life instead of the good book. And oh, is its principles easy and such wonderful ending at the outcome. I know I've had it happen to me, and I don't always follow its principles because, sometimes I get within myself and I somehow think I'm a know-it-all and I know everything, and that's when I start to run into trouble. But I've gone to that good book for the principles of what a woman should be. And boy, has it worked for me. I'll give you one of the examples. When I first got married, I was fairly young. I wasn't, 50 or 60, but I was in my 30s. I was still fairly young and physically in good shape. I grew up around my parents who had a farm that I hated. I did not like farm life, and I really wanted no part of it. And so I really never learned anything about farm life, even though my father actually had cows and, milked, and he produced milk for the public. No thank you. Never milked a cow and was not interested in doing so. My father also had a pig farm, and he raised pigs and he sold that, and I had no interest in that either. So I liked living out of what I call country life. I didn't like city life. I didn't like the hustle and bustle, so I knew that I wanted some land far away from everybody. That was my dream. My dream wasn't to have animals on it, but my dream was to have some property far away, and I would have me a little garden. I liked gardening, and so that was my dream come true, so to speak. But that wasn't exactly my newly husband's idea of his dream. And I found out what his dream was one day when he came home from work. And he had a baby pig in the back of the truck with him. Well, you just got to know somebody who wanted no part of animals was fit to be tied when I seen it. I started to proceed to say a whole lot of things, and of course, he knew me, and he knew what would happen if I got started. I probably wouldn't stop my rant for 6 months. And so he stopped me dead in my tracks, and he said to me, I have a right for my dreams too. What could I say? I did say something, and I did say, well, I never knew your dreams were animals. You've never said anything about wanting animals or anything. Well, I didn't think I had to. You knew all about farming. I said, I don't know anything about farming. He said, well, you grew up on one. I said, that don't mean nothing. I said, I don't know anything about it. What am I supposed to do with this pig? I don't know nothing about pigs. Well, you'll figure it out, was his words. Now I knew instantly when he said you'll figure it out. Guess what happened? That pig just became my responsibility. And it did. He built a pen for it. Within just a couple hours, he had that pig inside that pen. And that pig, I took care of it every single day, and a bunch of other animals he kept bringing home that I really was very frustrated about, but I kept my mouth shut. Problem of it was is neither one of us knew how to butcher an animal, not a chicken, not a rabbit, not a cow, and yet we had it all, including pigs. And we didn't know how to butcher any of it. We didn't even know which end well, we knew you could probably cut its head off, but where was its guts at? We had no clue. Well, we found a man who knew how to butcher pigs. He did. And he butchered our first pig. And he butchered our second and our third. And then one year, we got in a bad way. And we didn't have the money to pay him to butcher our pig. We even got into raising pigs ourselves and having litters of pigs. And I found somebody who knew how to kill chickens, and I went and took some of my chickens and I traded them a couple of chickens in return for them showing me how to kill them and gut them and all that stuff. The same with the rabbits. And I learned how to do it, and I did it. Not happy. Now you got to remember, I wasn't overly thrilled because I was not a farm girl. And the pig, one year, we had no way of paying to have it butchered. We didn't have the money. We were broke, and the pig was eating us out of house and home, and we couldn't even afford to eat the pig. That's how bad we were. We couldn't afford to feed it. We didn't have the money. That's how bad things had gotten for us financially. And so I looked at my Nutter Butter and I said to him, we're going to have to do this ourselves. And he said, we can't do this. He goes, I don't have a clue how you do this. And I said, I do. And he said, that can't be true. And I said, I do. I said, I can't kill it. And I said, and I can't hoist it up in the air by myself. But me and you both together, we can do that. And he looked at me and said, are you really sure you know how to do it? I said, sure, I've watched the man that comes here to do it so many times. I know exactly what to do. And so, we found somebody who could take care of the killing process of the pig. And guess what? We hoisted it in the air and I proceeded to cut the pig open and start to take its intestines out and showed him how to tie off the bag for me. The bile, the poopy stuff. And while I'm trying to pull guts and everything out into buckets, because we had buckets there, and he's looking at me in shock. And we finish. He cuts the pig in half and looks at me and puts his arms around me and says, oh my gosh, you did it. You actually did it. I would have never believed you could have done this. Where did I learn that from? The Good Book. She rises early in the morning. She does what's necessary to take care of her family, to make sure they're fed and clothed. And that's what I was doing. We didn't have the money to feed the pig, and we didn't have money to buy groceries ourselves. But now we did, because I rose early and I followed the principles of that good book. I have followed the principles in that book many times. That is why I'm a prepper. That's why I do what I do. And yes, sometimes I slack and I fall a little bit and I stumble along the way, because we're all human and we do get physically tired. And I have good days and I have bad days, but the next day I'm up and I'm going again. But what I learned in that lesson was to keep my mouth shut and not gripe and complain, because that was his dream and what he wanted to do. And guess what happened in the process? I love having animals. We don't have the cows we used to have. We don't raise the pigs we used to have. We changed to goats because we got older. And I can milk a goat. I went and found somebody who knew how to milk goats, and I learned how to milk goats. I do what's necessary for my home. That's what the good book taught me as a woman I need to do. And so, that's my self-help book. It helps me to get me through every situation in life. And sure, we made some changes. So, you know, I have goats instead because, hey, I can milk a goat. It's easier to milk. I can make my own cheese. And I have my meat, and they're easier for both of us to handle and take care of when it comes butchering time. So we made some changes, but I would not get rid of my animals. I love having them. They're fun to go out there, to feed, to take care of, and they supply me with what I need. So if I had become angry and said, I'm not doing this, and if this is something you want to do, then you do it yourself because I'm not going to because I have no interest in that and I think it's just stupid. Well, I could have ended up in divorce. If not that, I could have ended up driving a huge wedge between me and him that couldn't be repaired. But I learned to keep my mouth shut because there is a scripture in that good book that talks about it is better to live on the rooftop than to be in a house with a contentious woman. It also says that a foolish woman will bring her house down upon her own ears. And so I learned lessons from that good book. Lessons to live by, philosophies to live by, and learned to keep my mouth shut. And in the end, I found out I was greatly rewarded for taking charge and helping someone else make their dreams come true, even if it wasn't my dream and it wasn't what I wanted. Because what are we told as women to do? Be humble, be meek, be kind, be loving. Give in, don't be so bullheaded, but always make sure your family is taken care of, always. As a woman and the leader of that house, it is your responsibility to make sure your family is always in a position that they never go hungry and they always have something to eat. And that day, when I told him, I can do this, and the shock in his face, but see, I knew our family didn't have food in the house, and something had to be done because he already had a job. We were going through some hard times. And I had to do my part to make sure that that family of ours was taken care of and fed. And that meant if I had to do the cutting and the gutting of the animal, then that's what I was required to do for that good book. Because that is some lessons to live by. It's a self-help. And what did I do? I earned the admiration of my Nutter Butter, who just was so amazed that I actually was able to do that. He was stunned, and he just couldn't believe it. And he just kept patting me on the back. Wow, wow, I can't believe this. You did, wow. He was absolutely amazed that I knew how to do it and could do it just from watching this other man. And so what did I do? I supplied our family with some nice, fresh, homemade sausage. Oh, I ground sausage, and yeah, it was hard work. Took me weeks to render the lard from that pig. Weeks. But I had lard for a couple of years. I did. And sausage for a year also. And plenty of meat in my freezer. And when my garden was growing and I began to can and everything, I had my meat and my food, and my family and my home was taken care of. And so, what did I learn from that good book? It taught me some good lessons, and it still does. So we need to be prepared to take care of our home and our family. And that means even if it's something that's difficult for us to do, hard for us to do, and even impossible it seems for us to do, we must do it. Because it's in the book. He strengthens us. With him, all things are possible for us as women. There's nothing that can stop us as women. He has given us the strength. With him, all things are possible. And that's even possible for us to do something like that when we think we can't. But it's because we're not really following that good book, and we're more selfish and self-centered into what we want and not what's best for our family or what's best for our partners. We kill their dreams, and that doesn't mean they have to kill yours. It works both ways, but guess what? You'll be amazed that maybe your dreams were different than when you actually thought they were. Because it sure wasn't my dream to have no animals. I just wanted a garden and live away from the city. Now, I have both, and I enjoy it. Don't have a garden as much anymore because weather's just too bad and too many problems with it, but I still have the animals. So principles to live by is a good thing. It will keep you always prepared for anything that comes your way because it teaches you how a prepared woman should be and what she should do and how she should go about doing it. So don't forget to add that book to some of your self-help books. It's a good book to live by. And God bless, and may you have a blessed day.